Yuval, welcome back to the channel. My name is David. Today we're going to be talking about 3 tips for better behind the scenes photos when shooting in a recording studio. I know it's a very specific, set of tips, but you could apply this really to any type of behind the scenes content. Now for context, over the last 11 months, I have been working with plenty of musicians, photographing them on stage and in the recording studio. So the 3 tips will be based around my experience as a working photographer that I have learned over the course of working with these musicians. And as a quick disclaimer, as always, Nikon did not sponsor or provide any of the equipment shown. I bought it all with my hard-earned money, and you could ask my wallet because it's currently in therapy. So with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and jump into the video with tip number 1. The first tip is to be as discreet as possible when photographing in a music studio. This will allow you to capture better candid photos of the musicians without disturbing them. To prepare for a studio session, I always turn my camera's silent shutter or silent mode on to eliminate any noise coming from the camera. This means you won't hear any shutter clack or autofocus beeping when silent mode is enabled. While the recording of vocals and instruments tend to happen in a separate room at a recording studio, it's always best to play it safe. I also like to use fast aperture glass like a 24-70 2.8 or a 50mm 1.2 to document the session. Using fast glass also means no flash because popping flash can be too distracting or potentially disturb the musicians while they're in the zone making music. Remember, they're in the studio working and it's best to stay out of their way. Capturing the same style of photos will get boring really fast, so always capture as much variety as you can. This means move around the studio the best you can to change up your angle a bit, photograph some wide-angle shots to show the scale of the recording studio, or to capture more of the scene. Capture detail shots like taking photos of the equipment such as monitors, microphones, or really whatever catches your eye. Take some portraits of the musicians as they prepare for the session or are reviewing their music or brainstorming ideas. Lastly, capture some close-ups because close-ups will help you convey emotion. Maybe they're listening to an early draft of the track and they're just zoned out in the music. Or there's a bit of excitement in the room because they're working alongside a famous musician. Again, document whatever feels right to you so when you leave the session, you know you have enough variety to showcase the process that goes into making music at the studio. You've probably heard videographers say, shoot with the edit in mind. This can also apply to photography. When editing BTS photos, it is important to preserve the mood of what you captured in the studio. So don't go too heavy on the edits or use a preset that skews the photo to the point it ruins it. I personally like making minor adjustments to things like exposure, contrast, and correcting the white balance if I need to. Now, if you really want to enhance the mood of a photo, try converting them into black and whites. There's just something about black and white studio photography that just hits different. Perhaps it's the removal of color that really lets the subject matter shine and convey the mood or the story that's being told within the photo. Or maybe it's just the grain from shooting at high ISOs that kind of just gives it a nostalgic, timeless look. Regardless of what it is, I really enjoy black and white studio photography, and I highly recommend you try it out as well because it's awesome. And those are the 3 tips. I hope you found them very useful and helpful, and I hope they come in handy when you start shooting stuff inside of a studio or whatever behind the scenes content you plan to shoot. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, double tap the dislike button twice. Trust me, it works. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hasta luego.